Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to talk about Kibbutzim and Moshavim this session. Kibbutzim and Moshavim, addressing the Igbo people now. If you want to know what a Kibbutzim or a Moshavim look like, look at Okija, look at Newi, look at Ozobo, look at Nkalaha, look at Dikenafai, look at Omona. These are essentially what Kibbutzim and Moshavim would look like. But in the Igbo case, because they had been set up for a very long, because they had been set up a long time ago, essentially the people you would find in those obodo are people that think they came from one set of ancestors. They will give you the clearest picture of what a Kibbutzim and the Moshavim are like. And these are exactly what the Ashkenazi Jews who were persecuted in Europe returned to the land of Israel in the 19th century to set up. And this became the building blocks of the state of Israel that we are looking at now. It's some of the most important building blocks of the state of Israel that we are looking at now. The people that settled in this Moshavim and Kibbutzim engaged in agriculture. When we learned that Israel became one of the greatest exporters of apples and oranges, these apples and oranges, especially oranges, were produced in this Kibbutzim. And remember, prior to modern times or to post-modern times, Igbos were self-sufficient in food production. Every Igbo town operated as a country, produced its own food. And you know what happened? After the British invasion and colonization of the Igbos, everything collapsed. And the greatest vocation of the Igbo people became migration. We began to leave the land, and over time we lost count of everything. We forgot our history, we forgot who we are. But in the early 1960s, God sent a man. His name was Dr. Michael, but he was a surgeon. And this man decided to do what? To build Kibbutzim and Moshavim in Igboland. Remember, every Igbo community was a Kibbutzim and a Moshavim, but you can say that they had lapsed. They had become like expired drugs. The people were no longer operating as the Moshavim and the Kibbutzim that the Ashkenazis set up operated. They were no longer operating like one family. Because, as I said, this community suffered colonialism, and even before the colonialism, it was the epicenter of the transatlantic slave trade. All these things come with a price. But then, are you aware that in 1962, Michael Okpara traveled to Israel? Something motivated him. Something he couldn't explain, or maybe he could. After all, he declared publicly that he, Dr. Michael Okpara, was an Israelite. Brought Israelis and they began to set up foundations for Moshavim and Kibbutzim in Igboland. There is a major story behind what I'm saying now. This means that in the past 200 years to present times, Kibbutzim and Moshavim have only risen up in only two locations in the world. Igboland, which I think properly we should call the Hebrew Federations, and the state of Israel, or the land of Israel. Still, I don't want to get into the ridiculous efforts by some people to say that Igbos are not Israelites. I say that in the past 200 years, Moshavim and Kibbutzim have only risen up in Igbo land and the land of Israel. That's what Okpara decided to set up. And you know what would have happened? What Okpara decided to set up, if he had set it up, it would have revived the older Kibbutzim and Moshavim, which are the Igbo communities or Bodo, as we call them in the Igbo language. But then you know what happened between 1966 to 1970? The Igbo universe collapsed. The Igbo people suffered another genocide, and the Igbo universe collapsed. I began to think recently that we have to do what Opara started to do. We can do it. Even though he had government support, he was the leader of a government. If he did it, he does not have the information we have today. We have that information. So we can do it. And I began to think about how to start. I said that the first thing to do is to talk about this. To discuss this, to make this video. I was thinking about it, a message flew into my inbox by Ilona Perry. Ilona Perry is an American of Sephardi Jewish background who decided to become an Igbo. He said that he made a collection in his group, and raised some money that he wants to donate to an Igbo cause. I told him, if you don't mind, I want to dedicate this to building of this Kibbutzim and Moshavim. He welcomed the idea, and here we are. And I'm using this opportunity to appeal to everybody who is a friend of Igbos. You will contribute to this. If we are able to set up 100 Moshavim and Kibbutzim at all the rims of Igboland, what this means is that the people of Israel have managed to sacralize another 30,000 square kilometers that the God of Israel gave to the people. The God of Israel gave us the land in the Levant where the state of Israel is present today. And I'm telling you what I had said earlier, perhaps in writing and not in video, that God gave us Igboland too. Igboland is the only place where the people of Israel have settled for more than 1,000 years, having constant possession and occupation, and living by those traditions you saw Moses talking about, which you can verify. And you can start verification by asking that Igbo friend of yours to translate Deuteronomy 6:1 from English to Igbo for you. And on this note, I say, have a very beautiful week. Thank you.